Hello listeners, we are your co-hosts Jeanine Bailey and Marie Quigley for the Empower World Coaching and Leadership Podcast.
Empower World brings guests who are making a difference to the world to inspire coaches and leaders who lead with mind, heart and soul.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Empower World Coaching and Leadership Podcast. And I am here today, my morning in Australia, with my wonderful business partner, Marie Quigley, and it's getting on into the evening for you, Marie. So it's wonderful to be here with you once again.
It is. And we've done some wonderful podcasts this year, and we promised you we'd get back to or do a series on the ICF Core Competencies, and time zones and work and other things have got in the way of us completing them. So we're back on track, getting on with those core competencies. And a big shout out to one of our community, Alex, who asked us to do this. So we're just naming you, Alex. We're very grateful for you to say, please continue, because it's useful for us. So that's one of the reasons why we're back here today, looking at the core competencies.
Yes, very, very delighted to be back again, back on track with the core competencies. And today we're looking at competency 4, which is about cultivating trust and safety. So like all the competencies, we absolutely appreciate they all bring something to support us as coaches and our clients. It supports us as coaches to step into mastery and to be able to really empower our clients, to be able to tap into their authentic selves through this particular competency.
It does indeed. And of course, they're all interlinked. So yes, there are 8 core competencies, and we are looking at number 4, but they're all interlinked. You can't do one competency without the other. And that's the important thing about this dance of coaching, is that we are interlinking them. They come throughout the coaching conversation, and we're just highlighting them to show you the ways that you can enhance that competency in your work as we talk through them tonight.
Absolutely, Marie. If one of these is missing, one of these competencies, potentially we're not supporting our clients as well as we masterfully can. So competency 4, cultivating trust and safety, it really is respecting and acknowledging our clients. And that principle of naturally creative, resourceful and whole always comes in for me, because through living that and believing that, and I do, that belief that our clients are naturally creative, resourceful and whole. Competency 4, being able to acknowledge our clients' unique gifts, their insights, their knowledge, their intuition, whatever comes in is incredibly powerful, particularly because our clients, many of them perhaps won't appreciate themselves, won't see themselves, won't experience who they truly are. And so by being that mirror, reflecting back what we notice about our clients, even those things that come in that perhaps don't sound so resourceful, they're still providing information to the client about who they are and perhaps what's missing, or perhaps those limiting beliefs. So acknowledging our client for their courage to bring in whatever is coming up in their mind, heart, soul, again, is going to be incredibly powerful to be heard, to be truly be in that safe place, to be deeply heard, experienced and felt.
Oh, how beautiful, Jeanine. And I think I've got the definition of this correct. So if I don't, forgive me and check it on the ICF website. But the definition of this core competency number 4 is like partnering with the client to create a safe, supportive environment, allowing them to share freely and have a relationship that is filled with mutual respect and trust. All of the things you've just shared, Jeanine, really enhance that definition, and how we interact with a client in a way that communicates they're accepted, they're valued and are seen by us. And we appreciate all of their unique abilities and talents. And we trust, as you said, that they are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. We do not doubt this. We do not need to interfere with that. And when we believe in that, that allows somebody else, our clients, to believe in themselves.
Yeah, beautifully shared in terms of what this competency means, Marie. Thank you for sharing that definition. And I'm trusting you've got the right one. So part of this competency is being able to show that empathy and support of our client. It's as I'm sure many appreciate, it's not about showing sympathy, which potentially that sympathy puts our client into a hole, let's say. It's that sympathy can be seen as they're there, you'll be okay. The empathy that we show as coaches is we really truly appreciate how they show up. No matter how they show up, we are appreciating that they are being real, authentic. And this is the opportunity to be able to express themselves in their fullest way. So again, that appreciation as coaches, we come in with no judgment. It's holding that space to allow our clients to be who they are, to express whatever those blind spots, beliefs are, those emotions, whatever's happening somatically. And so we as coaches, we hold that space through showing and demonstrating empathy, which is not jumping into the hole with the client, but again, allowing them to be whole, warts and all, warts and all. And again, being able to acknowledge that for our client, acknowledge their courage. Yeah, go ahead.
You just hit on a very important point with that acknowledgement. What I was going to say was, how do we do this? Well, as coaches, we say our acknowledgements out loud. Thank you, client. That was some really deep work you did today. Or I noticed how you're able to deepen your awareness about yourself today. Your reflections are incredibly powerful, or whatever it is that you notice with your client. This is saying it out loud so that the client can hear it, feel it, sense it, and therefore feel the trust that you're giving him through your words, through your actions, through your paying attention to them. There's nothing like somebody who pays full attention to you. It allows you to relax in safety and security. And of course, we're very ethical, so we're going to stay through that confidentiality that happens between client and coach, which means that we can say things in a way that is very truthful to us, very vulnerable and courageous at the same time, as we acknowledge that.
Beautifully said. And I believe, again, and I'm sure this is for you too, Marie, speaking on both of our behalves, when we hold that principle that our clients are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, I believe we create a space for the client to lean into. If we see our clients as whole versus broken, needing to be fixed, I believe we again, energetically, we're creating a space for our clients to, again, lean in and experience whatever and share whatever they're experiencing in that moment. And so by acknowledging and reflecting that back to our clients, it can be an incredibly eye-opening experience for our clients, because they are truly listened to, truly heard and felt. So it's a wonderful opportunity to support your client to step into their vulnerability and their courage.
Yeah. And when they say something, it's about listening to it, not, as you said, not judging it, but opening yourself up to the curiosity, like a 5-year-old child would when they hear something for the first time. How wonderful. What does that mean? Or how interesting. What's happening here? Or I notice this happens when you say that. What's going on for you? So all of those beautiful, clean questions or simple questions to get more and more curious about the client. Another way of building trust and rapport is to really pay attention to somebody else and reflect back what you notice.
And I think that's really key, Marie, that we don't have to ask complicated questions. It can be very, very simple to support our clients to process what is coming up for them. So say more about that. What awareness are you creating right now? How does this inform you? So really, really simple questions to support the client to process whatever is coming up in the moment versus attempting to come up with fancy, complicated questions. You and I are both assessors, and we can hear that with new coaches attempting to find that really clever question, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, or attempting to move the client forward into action before the client has actually, before they've even started to think about or feel about or experience about what is happening for them. So a lot of coaches take that structure of a coaching conversation that they've learned from coach training and think, okay, so for example, the T-GROW model, we've got to get the topic, then the G, then the R, then the O, and then the W. And they've forgotten they're actually working with a human being. And that's the most important thing, is getting curious about that human being. The structure of the coaching conversation, of course, it's important because we need a beginning, we need a middle, and we need an end. But it is least important when we are thinking about how to support and empower someone else.
Yeah. And again, a wonderful point. So it's when it's getting uncomfortable for the client, it potentially gets uncomfortable for new coaches too. And can, as you shared, can quickly move to the action. And if you're a new coach and you're listening to this, it's actually when it gets uncomfortable, that is when it's the most potentially powerful moments in coaching, where a client can understand and learn and appreciate the gifts that come in to this situation that they've brought into coaching. So hold the space, allow the client to process, acknowledge your client through empathy and support, appreciate who they are and how they're showing up, the courage that they're displaying or leaning into. And sometimes when we're in that beautiful place of deep reflection, going to those courageous places, that cave, that analogy that is often shared about going into the cave to find the treasure that the client seeks. And sometimes when we're in that place, our intuition as coaches may come in. We may ask for permission to share perhaps what's coming up for us, because it feels intuitively, it feels powerful to do so. And so when we do that as coaches to support our client, again, it's allowing the client to be able, in this competency, it's allowing the client to respond to whatever you share in whatever way they want. There's no right or wrong. And we as coaches, our intuition potentially may be off. And our client can share that with us, and that's okay. We just let it go. But it's certainly that reflection can certainly support, and even if our intuition is off, it can support our client to get focused about what is happening. And so again, it's powerful.
Yeah. And I think, there's a systemic relationship happening when you're working with anybody. So in order to trust the client is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. You've also got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that the skills you've learned in your coach training school are enough right now to have a powerful coaching conversation. You've got to trust that the listening that you're doing is enough right now. Of course, the more we practice, the better we get at it. But it doesn't mean that you have to wait 10 years to do masterful coaching. You can do masterful coaching right now if you trust yourself to be present with the other human being. And all of the things you've learned in your coach training school will be in your bones. And so therefore, if you trust yourself in the process and trust the client, then there's bound to be a powerful coaching conversation that's coming out of it. And of course, that has a ripple effect. You trust yourself, you trust your client. The client trusts you, and therefore they trust themselves more.
Yeah. So true. It's and coaches who are listening to this, they will potentially have heard that whoever you've been trained with will share that, you know, the people that come into your world that you coach, there'll be reflections of what's perhaps happening for you. And we find that over and over again. So if we choose to lean in as a coach, if we choose to trust ourselves and what we've been taught, and move outside of our comfort zone and trust our client, importantly, that's when amazing things happen. Amazing things, beautiful ahas, beautiful stretches. And again, that's what we do as coaches. We're always supporting our client to continually move outside of their comfort zone of thinking, doing, experiencing, believing. And so that does mean it's going to be uncomfortable for potentially certainly our client, and perhaps for us as we are starting to learn our skills of coaching if we're a new coach. But the more you do it, the more you build your muscle of coaching, the more you lean in, the more you're going to build as a coach your confidence to be able to support your clients to go into the cave and find that magnificent treasure. And as you said, Marie, that can happen as a new coach too, if you lean in, trust, and really hold that principle about your client. They are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole.
Yeah. And if you think your client may be uncomfortable and you want to stop them being uncomfortable, then potentially there's some work to do. Bring it to supervision, bring it to your mentoring, because actually it's when the client is slightly uncomfortable that new thoughts happen, that new perspectives occur. So if you want to rescue your client out of their uncomfortable thinking or awareness, actually you're not serving them at all. And that lowers the trust building process, because the client then thinks, oh, maybe I can't handle this. Maybe I'm not able to think through this. So again, it's just being silent enough to allow the client to do their own processing of what's occurring and stay in it just that little bit longer. Test yourself out, experiment with your clients. If you feel uncomfortable, stay with it a little bit longer and see what occurs for your clients.
Another wonderful reflection, Marie, and it does remind me of some recent markings that I've done for coaches, and part of that has been doing some reflection for themselves, and often what comes through is I felt rushed. I felt like I had to move the client forward. I didn't have enough time, and so I did aim to move my client forward. And actually, if we can trust our client and stay in the cave, that is when actually lots of things, I'm moving my hands like stars falling from the sky. That's when things come together. When our clients are in the cave, when things come together very quickly. So we support our clients to slow down, to go into another space and place in their mind, again, heart, soul, body. And that is when things actually come together very quickly for the client. So even though they might not be saying much, they're processing through your powerful questions. That is when it all can come together very quickly for our clients to create this aha, to then support them to come out of the cave and move forward into their beautiful lives. So again, if we can let go of rushing and just stay with our client and trust them, it actually speeds things up in a way.
It does. You've just taken the words out of my mouth, because how many times on coach training do we say, slow down, it's going to make things move faster in your client's unconscious mind. Slowing down is a real key to powerful coaching. And if you find yourself rushing, and we encourage you to listen to your recordings, because you get great insights when you listen back to yourself and see all those things that you're doing to move the client quickly through it. When you notice that, just check in with yourself. What could I have done differently? How can I slow my own breath down, my own thoughts down, my own processing down, that's going to help the client do that? Because we are the mirror. So if we're fast and furious and questions keep moving and we want to get to the end of our session rather than interested and curious and slower, we're going to have a different experience, and our clients are going to have a different experience too.
And a powerful one at that. So I believe we've potentially covered the competency of Cultivates trust and safety quite well today, hopefully. That's our intention. And so coaches, leaders, we trust that you have enjoyed this episode of Cultivating Trust and Safety. Again, another powerful competency of the 8 that are all interlinked, all woven together. And we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what's going well, what we could do even better. And again, thank you, Alex, for the shout out. We really appreciate being able to record this together ahead of time, ahead of when we proposed. And again, coaches, we truly appreciate you listening to our podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening. You can find out more about us on our website, www.empower-world.com, and on our social media networks, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Be empowered.